Okay, here we are with our spreadsheet, and over here on the left side you'll see all these gray boxes. These are the boxes that we'll be adjusting and putting in figures, either clicking on this caret and having a drop down. These are all our pool models that are available, or filling in some information here, the total deck square foot. You would actually add the information in here. You can see these little boxes to the right here popping up. These boxes will let you know exactly what you need to do in this cell of the spreadsheet. Incidentally, please use a computer to do this. It's lots more difficult to do this on a smartphone. You can, but I don't recommend it, especially since we're talking about thousands of dollars. This makes it a lot easier for you to understand and see what's happening here. So in the end, your total estimated pool cost will be here. Like I said, boxes are going to pop up and you're going to see that information. Very simply, we're going to go over through each one of these boxes so you can see what's going on, what's happening, and I'll be as quick as I can. This is going to take a little bit though because there's a lot of information. So on the left here, you'll select the pool model and you see that the model pops up here on the left hand side, and it also fills in the cell with all the information about that. You have how much the cost is going to be. This right here is for our white Whisper White pool shell color. You see it here. And these other ones are for the other colors, respectively, G2 and G3 colors that you can select here, and we'll go over that in a minute. Next box would be your spa. The spa spillover is the one that you would select if you're going to select a pool. So select it with the spa spillover, and you may want to use a model that coincides with the shape of the pool and spa so that you have a decent look. These two lends itself to a nice look because they're both rectangular in shape, and we can set that up in the pool, pool area to where it will look really nice. You see this information populating here. This is how much the cost of this spa spillover would be in addition to the pool. What's nice is you don't have to add these numbers up or these numbers up if you're looking for these colors. This is what happens down here when you are taking the, when you're choosing your pool and spa. For instance, if you knew you wanted the Delray Pool and Spa with the Royal Spa spillover, you would, but you knew that you wanted a colored surface, we would come down here in the pool shell color area, and then we would select a color, coastal bronze or whatever color that you want. So I'm going to show you here in the bottom. It's 38,000 with Whisper White. And then if you wanted the color, let's say Ocean G Blue 2. Now watch the figure down here in the 44. This Ocean G Blue 2 would kick the figure up to 40,000. So that's taking into consideration the color choices for your pool shell and adjusting the price accordingly down there. Everything you do over here on the left side is going to basically change this figure down here. So this tool lets you play with certain things for your budget. Let's say you only had a $40,000 budget and you essentially didn't want a color in order to stick underneath that budget, right? So this lets you get as close to the close to your budget as possible, giving you whatever items that you wanted to select in order for you to have a nice backyard and whatever you want. So let's go over a couple of these other things here. This is the tanning ledge kidding pool section here, and there's one that's a semicircle, another one that is a kind of a free-form shape, and just the same as above, it will add all the information there, and then kick out your price down here. So that changes that up a bit. Let's change this back, and I'll show you how to change it back. If you we're just checking it out to see what you wanted, and then you didn't want it anymore, you go back to no tanning ledge, and the real, same thing with the hot tub. If you did not want that, you would select no spa, and that would take that off, thus taking it off of the estimated pool cost in the bottom. The total decking square foot. This essentially, for most of our builds, are between 500 and 900 square foot. This is on a normal, residential lot in a subdivision, I would say. But if you have a bigger lot and you want extra square footage for the deck, this can be done. Very simple thing here, and when we go through the 3D rendering process, which is the next process afterwards, we can easily show what the actual total decking square foot is, and then adjust this price. But essentially, this tool is just to get you an estimated cost, so that if all of this stuff is within your means to build, and what you can afford on your budget, and if it's something that you even want to pursue further. That's kind of what this is about here. So let's just fill this in with, let's say, 500 square foot, just to, just for good number's sake. Now I'm going to a quick way for you to get your total decking square foot. Let's say you're at your house, and the most houses are 40 foot wide, and so that's what this drain track linear feet is. What this is a channel that runs from one side of your house to the other side of your house, and that lets the rainwater get channeled off so that it doesn't flow into your home and cause some flooding there. So that's what this drain track linear feet is. Now, the total decking square foot, what you would do is you take the, from one side of the house to the next. If you're going to put concrete deck from one side of the house to the next, which most people do, you're essentially just extending the house to the backyard further. And for most builds, like I said, from one side of the house is 40, and then perhaps going to the backyard, to the back fence, would be another 30, maybe to 40 feet, 30 to 40 feet back. So you have 40 feet wide to 30 foot back, and use a calculator. You could have the calculations in the computer. That would be 1,200 square foot, just showing this stuff as we go, for the total deck. So you would have 1,200, but then you have to look here and you see your surface area, because remember, we're not paving the area for the pool, right? So then you would take that 1,200 and minus the surface area, which is 264, to help you out. So that's where this number would come into play, and so that 936 square foot would be the total decking square foot. All right, that's the way you could calculate that without us doing the drawings. If you wanted to be more precise, you don't really have to be so precise right now in this frame of the this time frame of the process. You just want to get kind of close to normal figures. So we're here with that. The next is a screen enclosure, and it says right here, this will usually be the square footage of your deck, unless you want more deck outside of the screen enclosure. Sometimes you might want more deck on the outside, let's say for a summer kitchen or something like that. So let's say that you wanted, I don't know, another 500 square foot of deck. You would add that here, but it would not be included in this total screen enclosure square foot. So where we would be at it for the screen enclosure would be that 1,200 square foot, because you're talking about that 30 foot back to 40 foot wide across the back end of your house. So that's where you would be for that. Now, the screen enclosure linear foot, what this is the, I'm sorry, screen footer linear foot. What this is the footer that has to be poured for supporting the weight for the screen enclosure. And it's very simple. It's essentially going to be a U shape, because it's going to extend from one side of your house, let's say the right side of your house, back toward the backyard, and then it's going to extend crossways like this, and then back to the other side of your house. So we're going to go 30 foot back like this, 40 foot over, and then 30 foot back. That would be 100 linear foot for your screen footer, and so we'll just put that in there, and you'll see that the screen cost after I hit enter will change, because it's going to add how much we have to charge for this screen footer. And coincidentally, it's adding it to the bottom here. So this helps you play with the numbers. If you're thinking about a screen and you're like, oh, wait a minute, screen's going to cost me $13,000. That's a lot of money. I don't want a screen. So then you go ahead and put 0 back in here, and then 0 back in here, and you don't have to worry about it, right? Screen cost is off, and now that takes it away from here. And you can quickly see that this tool is super useful in helping you decide on, what your budget can afford and what kind of bells and whistles you want for your pool. This dig, drop, and backfill is the next section here. You're only going to want to use a dig and haul for the most part. Most properties we're going to be hauling the dirt away, unless you have a lot of land where we can just spread the dirt around and grade it for your house. Usually most people will have us do the dig, haul, and backfill. So expect that on most builds. But if you do have a lot of land and you want us to just spread the dirt around and grade it off, that's fine. We could do that. You would select dig and drop and backfill. If you are only going to do a spa on the build, you would select this. That essentially is just a small amount of dirt. There's no dig and haul. There's no major costs going on for a huge excavator to dig. So we don't have to worry about that too much. So that's where we are there. Let's go ahead and take this back to dig, haul, and backfill. Okay, next is a bobcat needed. For the most part, you're going to leave this as a yes, unless you have a lot of land to where we can just drive the dump trucks right back to the backyard where we're digging and the excavator is. We're going to have to shuttle that dirt back from the backyard to the front yard, in which case we use a bobcat. And so that charge would be in there for the bobcat. Services that we'll need to use in order to fill up the dump trucks and haul the dirt away. Next is our decking section. Decking, for the most part, is going to be a concrete deck with texture and paint. The texture is like a knockdown texture for your, like you would see it on walls of a home or something like that. You look over here, there is a nice link. It shows you, the colors and what. Well, actually, this just takes you to the Florida Paints website. You click on that, and this is the Tropicrete is what we use, and essentially, it's for exterior, 100% acrylic, and we can use any kind of color from any company, Sherwin-Williams, all the other major companies. All we need is a swatch color number, and then they would go ahead and mix up that color. So that's it for that. And next is for decking, possibly is brick pavers. You see how the charge just changed right there when you click brick pavers. It's using the total decking square foot to change these numbers accordingly. And then you see here, now it's changed to a different, a different link, and you get to see the brick pavers and what they're going to look like here and the selections and whatnot. This is a couple different selections here where there's colors, there's different types that you can see what types they look like, solid colors, and all that good stuff. Okay, and that also has coping in there as well. Let's show you that. And this is the coping that are available, colors and styles and what have you. Next is the decorative concrete. Now, this decorative concrete essentially is, it's a artistic type of thing. Some of them can be bricks. Oops, we'll go into these pictures here. So this is actually on a wall, but there are other little decorative concrete options that you can choose. And this is just what this company that we use to do this stuff for us can produce. So there's a lot of things that can be done there. and this is the price for that. Most of our builds are going to be with the concrete texture and paint, so let's just select that. Tile, the same thing. Tile choices, we have a standard, mosaic, and we have glass tile. For this, let's just go with standard tile, and this shows you how much a standard tile would cost for a pool of this size. Tile choices takes us over to Tile Supply website, and there are a bunch of different choices here, so many to choose from, and just a lot of stuff. We also use another company called NPT Tile. Let's go through here. This is their gallery, and I did not put a link on there, but I'll try to do that later. Anyways, this is all the different tiles that they have. You can select, the 6x6 is what we usually choose. So go ahead, and this is for traditional. So there's a bunch of different tiles for 6x6. Not sure why it's not showing up there, but anyways, that's kind of where you're looking at for most of these builds. Oh, because it says basic, that's why. So you can essentially choose, all of these. This is 6x6, and it's just going to go through and filter out so many of these other tiles. Mosaics look like this. Those are a little bit more expensive. These stone tiles here are the standard basic stuff. So that's what you're seeing here when you choose the standard, mosaic, and then glass. Glass tile is the most expensive, and let's see if I can show you some glass tile. And there's glass tile, how it looks. A lot of people right now are doing glass. It is a little bling bling and a little showy. There are some that are a little over the top, in my opinion, and some that are nice and gives you a nice classy look without really going over the edge, and that's where most people are at right now. And I showed you shell color. You have the G2 colors, and then you have the G3 colors. Now, the link here for Latham takes you to their site. These are the colors that they have. You can click through and see them. And this is a whisper white. Obviously, it's like that. Now, when you get to this is the G3 colors. Essentially, they look like the G2, but these little white splotches here it's just a reflective surface. They don't actually look exactly like that. They look, more shimmery, but this is the way they try to convey how it was going to look on a browser, which doesn't do it justice, to be honest. So the G3 are really nice if you want a little shimmering in your pool reflecting back at you. Next, our equipment package. This is the Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 packages. Tier 1 is our basic package. All of our packages include salt systems. I believe in them so much because they do decrease the workload for treating your pool and the frustration that you get if you didn't have this with having to shock the pool and go to the pool store and do all this nonsense. It's just a pain. So we have that in all of our tier packages. This one has a variable speed pump. It has a cartridge filter, and it has obviously I told you the salt system and a regular light. The links here, even when you click on them, they will open up and take you to the sites that you can read more about the pump, the brochure, and see exactly what it looks like, what horsepower it is, and all this other stuff that you might want to know. Same thing. I'm not going to go through each one of those, but I'm going to explain this next package. Is our Tier 2 package. This has a Omni VS pump. And the Omni VS pump is a variable speed pump, which means that you can ramp it up and ramp it down. All of our packages have a variable speed pump, but this pump has the ability to control other things such as lights. And if you're going to have a spa, you're going to want to go with a Tier 2 package because it will also have some actuators, which are automatic valves that turn the valves to heat the water for your spa only, so that you don't have to go out to the pool and, you don't have to go to the pool equipment and turn the valves by hand. A lot of people don't necessarily want to mess with that, especially if you have kids and they just want to get in the hot tub and mom and dad aren't around. Um, this is a way for them to hit the spa button, and then they can get in the spa without, without a lot of issues with figuring out what to do. Tier 3 package, it's our top package, and it has pool automation. This also goes to smartphone. Now, incidentally, the VS, the Tier 1 pack, Tier 2 package before that does also connect to your smartphone. So I forgot to mention that that was one of the ways that pump controls it. But this has a board on the outside of your house, so that the if you have a pool service, they can control it from the outside as well. The other one does the Omni VS, but it's on the back of the pump. It's not as good as this one, because this one you can also have landscape lighting tied into it. You can have a bunch of other things that aren't necessarily pool related. However, like if you had a we also do ignition systems for fire pits. You could have that on your pool controller, and that's where this Omni system would come into play. And like I said, you can either use a PC, a tablet, or smartphone. They even have these other little handheld remotes that you can get on there. So that's our Tier 3 package. After you choose a package there, and let's just go down, I'm going to go back to the Tier 1 package. After you choose a package there, in the next section here, this is the extras equipment that you might want to select. Here, this allows you to add things such as deck jets, if you wanted deck jets squirting water into your pool. And over here, it will show you, when you click the links, show you what these things do. You click on that, it brings up these deck jets, but in all actuality on this one is just our basic deck jets. And if you look down here in the bottom, this deck jet 500, it doesn't have a light on it, it just squirts water into the pool. It's still a cool feature, but it's not these other lights that show up at the top. That is a different one, and I'll show you that later. We'll come back to that, and I'll just show you right now. That's this laminar color jets. Okay, so this laminar jets is actually cool stream of light, and it does require 2 lights in there, as well as the laminar box, if you will. Anyway, so that's what that looks like there. We'll go over a couple of these other ones. The variable speed pump, your build will come with a variable speed pump, but if you wanted another variable speed pump, maybe to push water feature, push water to water feature, or let's say that you wanted a pool and spa, but you wanted the spa to be separate. You do not choose the spillover, okay? You choose the regular spa, and you have 2 separate bodies of water. So if you had a decent property and you didn't want the pool and spa to be together, let's say you wanted the spa, I don't know, tucked away somewhere farther away, and then you wanted the pool over here, that's how you would do it. And then you would have to add a variable speed pump for the spa, and then you would also add a cartridge filter for the spa as well. So that would be additional. This part here would go to the pool. This part here would go to the separate pool and spa. And that's the time you would need this. Otherwise, you don't really need a variable speed pump, and you don't need a cartridge filter. So we'll take those off, and the way to take those off is you turn it back to where it says extras, and you see the charge is gone. That means the charge is not there anymore. Watch, that's 50,000. And then we're going to take off the extra, and now it goes to 49. See how nice that is? It's a very good tool. Pretty proud of it, actually. So I hope that this helps you out, as it has for most people. There's no spa there, so we'll take that off. Let's go over some other things. Color pool light, that goes without saying. Color spa light. I'm not going to go through each one of those, but same thing. When you select it, it pops up over there. It shows you what it's about, and you can read about it. We went over okay, here's the next one, shear descent. These are nice little waterfalls, if you will. If you look down at the bottom here, the shear descent are these little shear 500. So incidentally, keep, when you look at the price of this, you see how this is kind of built up. This shear descent would be built up on a second tier no matter what. So we would have to have a wall built for you, either with another spa if you wanted a spa, or build it up. Now this shear descent is just the charge for the shear descent. If you were building up the wall for your pool on one side, there would be a charge for that, and I would have to work that in, and that's not something that's easily done here on a spreadsheet. But I'm just letting you know how that is. And this is on a normal build, so this is this shear descent $900. This would be on an average drop, maybe 1.5 to 2 feet into the pool. If you wanted something higher, like maybe 5 feet or whatever, obviously that's going to be a different cost than this and the build. Next, we'll go water feature spray. There's really not anything for us to show you. All this is like a couple jets that's going to spray into the pool like a little fan or a little plume of water, one or the other. And we can talk about that as we get closer to the build, or I can show you how it will look in a drawing. Next is our heat pump and gas heater. Our heater section, obviously, if you have a spa that you're going to have here, you're going to need a heater, no matter what. Heat pump is a pump that is electric. It kind of looks like your air conditioner that sits on the side of your house. And upfront cost on a heat pump is the most expensive, but if you're going to run a heat pump continuously, or just to keep your pool at a certain temperature, the heat pump is going to be your least costly piece of equipment versus your gas heater. Now, a gas heater is what most people will use for a pool spa build. If you don't have anything plumbed to your house, it's the cheapest upfront cost. It's also, it's not going to break the bank if you're just heating the spa, which most people do. 80 to 90% of our customers, they just use their heater to heat the spa up. They don't heat the whole pool up. If you're going to heat the whole pool, and you're going to want to, maybe if you have people that come from out of town, from up north, they all want to swim during Christmas time, whatever, and send their friends back home who are sitting in the cold pictures of them hanging out with you in Florida in your hot tub. You're going to want to go with with a heat pump so that they can actually swim in the pool. Otherwise, they'll just be, in the hot tub. They probably won't be able to use the gas heater to heat the whole pool, because propane, if you're not plumbed for a gas heater, so if you're not plumbed for natural gas at your house, heating your pool with a gas heater is unbelievable. Like it costs so much money to do that. So you're never going to want to heat your whole pool with propane gas. So if you do not have natural gas plumbed for your house and you were thinking about heating the whole pool, do not choose a gas heater. You're going to want to go with a heat pump. If you do have natural gas heat, to your house, gas heater is still an option to heat your whole pool. It's more expensive than monthly cost. It's more expensive monthly than a heat pump, but it's not anything to where I would balk at it and say that you couldn't do it, because I have plenty of customers that do it. Next is our controller. This is something that if you weren't going to take a package that already had it and you were choosing it on its own, I picked that. You don't really need to worry about that. I think that's about it. Variable speed pump with integration. No. So we set those back to extras, and yeah, that's it. So this, like I said, you see the numbers changing down there as I'm changing our options, and now we know that we're about $42,000 in this build, which includes this pool, this much deck, this drain track, all this other stuff that we've selected here, concrete texture and paint, glass tile, and you know, and all those all that tier equipment, and put that there. So now after we have this here for our budget, the next step is to do the financing and figure out, through our banker or our other financial companies, that we need a $42,000 loan, and what we would do, to make that happen, either home equity line or a there's any number of ways for my banking friend Debbie Beers to actually help you out, and there's other avenues that we have there as well, and that should be in that email. Now, next we're in the process after you figure this out is to do 3D renderings. The 3D renderings is what's going to help you understand what the pool is going to look like, and that's kind of here. This is a 3D rendering I did for a customer that essentially shows you how the pool is going to look from in the house. So this is kind of where they would be sitting in their living room, and you could see as they're walking outside, they get a nice view of that water feature that's setting there. So when I place the pool in the build, I can maneuver it to show you exactly how it's going to look from your house. Pretty close. So I take your survey that you have at the house, and we go ahead and do a mock-up of your house on 3D Studio, and we go ahead and show you what it would look like. This is this customer's house in fairly good detail, including a brick wall that he's got in the back, as well as vinyl fencing that we were talking about, and a fire pit over here that he wanted, a couple other things. So the 3D drawings would be the next step. If you have, and we have 3 tiers on that, and explains in the email, $200 for us to do your drawing with the site survey that you have at your house, and some pictures that you would take. Just go to the back of your yard and take pictures of your house from there, maybe from your house from here and to the back. Take a decent amount of pictures. I also need pictures of the yard. If there's a slope, if your yard is sloped, that will also help me figure out the terrain that's involved, and everything like that. If you don't have that, and I have to take, if you don't have your site survey and I'm taking satellite imagery, and there's a couple other ways for me to do it, and I have to extrapolate that information from that, it's $250 for me to do that, and you would still need to take some pictures of this area, but that's just additional work for me, so it does cost a little bit more. Next, we have the third option would be for me to actually visit your home, take measurements on my own, take pictures on my own, and do the full run-up. That's $300 for me to do that. After we send this over to you, you can take this information, go to your HOA. Most of them will need approval for you to put a pool in, fencing, and what color. Some HOAs get really into it about what you're going to actually do, if there's going to be paver deck or whatever. After we do that, you would take that to the county or the city, depending on where you live, and then send that in, and then they would go ahead and issue a permit after a while. So there you have it. That's our process, and hope you enjoyed listening to this detailed explanation of how this spreadsheet works. And if you have any questions, you can call us in the office, 407-255-7665. You can reply back to the email that we sent, and with your questions, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And you can also set up a phone consultation meeting with me. That should be in the email, to devote maybe an hour or half hour or however much time you think we need to go over this process to get you into the next step. All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate you listening. Have a good day.